Hey guys, in this video we're going to talk about the G0704 and basically whether or not you should buy it. This video is the reason why I came up with the State of the Mill series. I had this idea for a while and wanted to talk about whether or not I think the G0704 is still a good purchase. And so that's basically what we're going to go over here. A lot of you asked some really great questions in my introduction video to this series, and I really appreciate it. And originally I was only going to maybe make a couple of these videos a year, but I've got so many good ideas from you guys now, I may actually just roll out a bunch of them and then maybe I'll update them in a year. Anyway, this video is intended for pretty much everybody. If you have a hobby, or if you want to start a hobby, or some people don't like the word hobby, so if you want to get into this discipline of machining, if you want to get into CNC, or maybe you're already into it, if you're thinking about getting a benchtop mill or converting one to CNC to start a business, or if you have a business and you need the support of a benchtop mill or a CNC mill, this video is for all of you guys. And basically what it comes down to is, yes, I still absolutely recommend it. Now, when I bought this mill, which I think was around September 2012, everybody online was saying the same thing, which is you should get the biggest, heaviest mill you can afford. And I completely agree with that. Get the biggest thing you can afford to purchase so that you will hopefully not outgrow it. Now, at the time, the biggest mill that I could afford was the Rongfu 45 or RF 45 and its clones. The one I really liked is the Bolton ZX 45. Precision Matthews has one called the PM 45. I think Grizzly has one. I'm not sure if they call it the 45. Everybody's got one, and it's about 3 times as heavy as this machine. It does have bigger travels, and I believe it has a bigger work envelope as well, a bigger table, I mean. But the reason why I ended up not going with it is back then there were only a couple of really good threads on the RF45 clones for a CNC conversion. And there was a lot of piecemeal information, but I didn't really, I wasn't confident that I could buy that mill, tear it apart, and get it converted to CNC. I was afraid I was going to spend 3 years, floundering on some stupid thing I couldn't figure out. And that's why I went with the G0704. Haas had already released his DVD conversion video, or the DVD conversion for the G0704, and I knew that I could buy his DVD, go through all the steps. He would answer my questions, which he did, and I would be able to get the job done. And so that's why I went with this mill. So my advice to you is to buy the machine that fits the projects you have in mind. Now, if you've always wanted a G0704, you understand the work envelope, you understand the limitations, and you still really want it, then absolutely get it. If you want to get Haas's DVD, if that's the reason why you picked this mill, then go that route. I don't think you're going to be disappointed. If you need something bigger and you get this mill, then you're going to be disappointed because you're going to run into the work envelope, or you're going to run into the speed, or the y-axis limitation, which is my biggest complaint. So if you think you want this mill, yes, it's still a great mill, and I would buy it again if I were in your position and I needed a mill. Now, being in my position, I really overestimated the difficulty of a CNC conversion. I've always been a tinkerer. I've rebuilt engines. I've rebuilt a transaxle. I've tore into my own vehicles and rebuilt stuff. Differentials, I've done it all. And really I should have been more confident in my abilities, because I could have got the RF45 clone and done the conversion myself, and it probably wouldn't have been that big of a deal. I wasn't very confident, so I didn't do that. If this mill were stolen or melted into a puddle today and I needed to replace it, I would probably go with one of the 45s. I like the idea that it's bigger and more rigid. Having said that, I don't expect to ever lose this mill, and frankly, I don't expect to ever do another CNC conversion. When I got into this, my idea was to get into a hobby. I thought CNC sounded like a lot of fun, and I wanted to eventually turn it into a business, which I'm kind of doing, and I've been doing some work, mostly on my lathe, actually. I had the time to do the conversion. I could spend the time troubleshooting it. My time wasn't really worth anything, 3 years ago, so it didn't matter. Now, with family life and my job and everything else, I'm too busy to do any more CNC conversions. Frankly, I don't have the time to tinker, and I don't love the conversion process enough that I really want to do it again. So I'll make this machine work, and I'll keep upgrading it to make it better until I can afford to just go buy something that is CNC. And really, for me, that means probably a drill tap machine or a VMC. I'm not super interested in a Tormach, even though I do think that would probably be a great stepping stone for me to go from this to a Tormach. I kind of want to skip that and just get into something, really serious. But I guess time will tell. I may end up with an 1100 one of these days. The Tormach 1100 is a great machine. One of the other big questions I have, and I think this is a major limitation, or I think people make a bigger deal out of this than it really is, I think. And that is, people always ask it just this way: can you machine steel with the G0704? Yeah, you can. You can machine steel with a chisel. You can machine steel with a Dremel and an end mill. You can machine steel with anything you want. The question is, how fast can you go? This machine will cut steel, no problem. I've done all kinds of mild steel. I've done hardened steel. I've done titanium. It'll do it. Is it going to do it fast? Probably not. Is it going to be the most accurate, give you the best surface finish ever? No, probably not. But yeah, it'll get the job done. Some of you who are frustrated with machining steel are machining really crappy steel, like A36. What do they call that stuff? It's like construction grade steel. It's terrible material. When you're machining stuff like, 12014 is amazing on the lathe, but 1018, 1045, any of the 4000s, they machine great, and this machine will do it, no problem. Are you going to have to take shallow depth of cuts? Yeah, you probably are. And that means you're going to burn up the tip of your end mill while the rest of your end mill flutes go unused. Sometimes that's going to be the case. Just accept it now, and let's move on. That's also one of the reasons why I buy cheap end mills. Don't let the material type that you want to machine hold you back. What really is going to limit you is how big of a piece of material do you want to machine. Now, if you think back from some of you who have been following John Grimsmo since the beginning, he was doing those knife scales before he started designing the Norseman. He was doing those knife scales on an X2, and he was doing amazing work. They were cool. He had to go slow. He could only do, a pair or two pair at a time, whatever it was, but it totally worked. When I did my Kickstarter a couple of years ago, I did those titanium collar stays, and with the fixture that I made, I can do, I think, something like a dozen pair of collar stays at a time, and that totally works. I mean, this machine has, how many inches is the X? 22 inches of X travel, of X travel. I never use that. You can see right now I've got the vise in the middle, and then I've been machining on this little, it's like an 8x8 plate. I used it as just clamped some stuff to it and was machining it. And it's big enough for that, right? I mean, if you're going to do fly fishing reels and you're going to do them one at a time, you're not going to need a giant machine for that. If you think you're going to outgrow it quickly, if you've got a solid business plan, if you've got customers, if you need to move a lot of volume, you probably shouldn't be getting a mill like this. You should probably be getting something that has a bigger work envelope, like a Tormach. Get something where you can make a big fixture and bolt a lot of parts to it. So that's really what you need to be considering. I don't think you're going to be dissatisfied with the X2, with the G0704, with the Precision Matthews, I think 727, the one Sam is converting right now, with the 45. It really just comes down to how much money you want to spend, first of all, and how much work envelope do you need. So hopefully that helps. The only regret that I have with this machine is the Y-axis. When I did the CNC conversion, I could have done, Haas has several different methods where he kind of outlines ways you can get more Y-axis travel, and I didn't do any of them, and I totally regret it. The most basic one is you actually just clearance the casting a little bit, and I didn't even do that because I don't know why I didn't. And so I've got less than 6 inches of Y, and it sucks. I really, really hate it. So one of these days I am going to have to do something. Even an extra inch would make a huge difference. Also, the 5-inch vise. I'm not going to really call that a regret because I do love this vise, but I think it's too big for this mill, quite frankly. I think a 4-inch vise, I don't know if you can see it right here, actually. I'm going to zoom in, so if you're not watching, come back. I don't know if you can see it right there, but my vise is overhanging the table quite a bit, and I can't jog straight this direction as it is, or I'm going to run into the column. So the 5-inch vise is too big. That limits part of my travel. So, you know, get a 4-inch vise. So, you know, it's workable. Let's see. Probably going to be more mods in the future. I'm going to redo the belt drive because I'm not totally happy with the way that worked out. I will say this, though. Had my motor not burnt up, I probably would not have done the belt drive. I didn't really want to spend the time doing it, plus the spindle bearings. It was just easier to keep going. And I didn't really need the extra RPM. I just kind of wanted it. They've fixed that now. So the motor on this mill has a breaker, an internal breaker. So if you overheat the motor, it should shut off and you won't burn up the motor like I did. But yeah, that's another thing. The electronics could die, the motor could burn up. And that's really about it. I mean, I guess if you got a lemon and something was seriously wrong with it, your lead screws were bent or I don't know, something like that. But I don't think there are too many people that are running into those kinds of problems. And my understanding is Grizzly's usually pretty good about fixing them. Let's see here. Actually, you know what? I think that's about it. Crap. Okay, well, maybe there'll be a part 2. I don't know. Post your questions below, and if I didn't answer your question in this video and you want more information, I'll crank out a part 2 real fast, and I'll answer some more questions. Just for fun, I want to post 3 videos from other channels in the subscription. So go down to the description and check out, first of all, an old John Grimsmo video with that X2 making scales. That guy, he always does amazing work, and yeah, you got to know the X2, the G0704, whatever, they're not the most accurate. They're not the fastest, but they will get the job done. And you can, depending on your level of attentiveness and your desire for perfection, you can obtain really, really great results on any machine. The next video I want you to take a look at is another one from Sam. I know I keep sending you guys over there. He started on that Precision Matthews 727. I hope I'm getting that model number right. And he does a video where he actually talks about why he bought that mill. He talks about his considering the one of the RF 45 clones, although I think maybe the Precision Matthews 45, and why he didn't choose that mill. And then thirdly, for those of you that don't know Aaron Guff, he makes fixed blade knives, and he bought this old Fadal, like an early 90s Fadal, and it doesn't have the enclosure. So it looks like a benchtop mill, but it's not. It's a full-blown VMC, and it's gigantic. It's really cool. So I'm going to throw a link into that video. Go check that out and subscribe to Guff's channel. He does some really cool work too. Also, he's super active on Instagram, so follow him on Instagram. Okay, so that's going to be it, and I will look for your guys' comments and questions below. See you in the next video.